This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Mattel Creations exclusive item. Extendar, the heroic master of extension action figure. This was an exclusive from the Creations website, which I think I just said actually, so that's redundant. We do see that they give us some nice artwork here on the side of the front. And when we turn it around, we get another picture of him in his extended form, fighting against the Horde who created him. And we get our first look at, you know what, I'm not really sure what his name is. I never had that one as a kid. And I'm trying to remember if they made him, I think they did make him for Classics. Because the whole thing was that figure, whatever his name is, he's got a wheel on his chest, and then he had a ripcord. Anyway, let's open him up, which will be easy in this case since it is collector-friendly packaging, which I love, because it means you can display them out or in and then put them back. He does come with his own comic book. He's kind of a big boy too. He be thick. And of course our mini comic is called Terror of the Technomancer, starring Extendar, Hordak, and Grayskull. We start our day out with Extendar riding a horse along the outskirts of the Palace of Eternos. When he hears the cry and sees a maiden being held by some kind of creature, vines, whatever, and he extends his limb to try to help, but pop, she vanishes, and instead is replaced with a bunch of Horde troopers who capture him. Hordak, of course, mocks the Extendar as a false knight, talking about how he had been jealous of He-Man when he was willing to sacrifice anything to become as powerful as He-Man, and thus ended up in the clutches of the Horde who transformed him into Extendar. And this actually specifically refers back to one of the mini-comics, The Warrior Machine, from 1985. So that's cool. This is actually a continuation, for sure a continuation of a mini comic previously done. But he talks about how he added the extending abilities to Extendar, but then Extendar's betrayal as he teamed back up with the heroes. Interestingly enough, they show the lance that Extendar has here that came with the Classics figure. Even though he does not come with a lance himself, he just comes with the same shield he had back in the 80s, which is, of course, a shame. They open Extendar up and they want to take out the Eternium core from him. Right now we see Modulok, the mad scientist of the Horde, working on him. And as they open up the core to take it out, Hordak again taunts him, saying that the core was wasted on Extendar and will go to somebody more worthy of him. But Extendar somehow escapes, and it is off the scene, or out of camera, so to speak. So we don't actually see how he managed to escape, just that he did. Grayskull swears a little bit, and as Extendar makes it back to Eternia, he remembers his only regret being succumbing to Hordak's offer, and that he will no longer be jealous of others. But back at the Horde lair, Grayskull wonders why they didn't go after the false knight. And Hordak just says that he got enough of the essence in order to create his ultimate horror, which is this thing here, I would assume. And I'm wondering if that's supposed to be the ultimate Horde trooper, except for the head does not look right. And none of this looks like anything that we've seen before, to be honest. Just the way that the fists and arms are, it looks like he's also got an extension ability. So maybe Mattel is planning on releasing an original figure in this line that is a Horde version of Extendar. Now back to the figure. So just for the heck of it, let's take a look at his shield first. It looks like a normal shield, except for it opens up to extend dun, 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 the range a bit. Unfortunately, it doesn't like click into place once it's open. It just kind of hangs partially out there. I mean, it's just literally made for the gimmick. There was no information card with this one, so we don't know what to do with what this time. And it does appear that he is kind of a hybrid between what Classics did and the original toy. Because right now, there is in fact the extension on the waist, and we still have the waist swivel. It does not appear, however, that you can actually pop off that, which again, with the little informational card, would have been kind of nice. His head also pops up. And we can turn it around, so that can give us a really good look at the head sculpt here. Very unique, very thick. And he has a peace symbol etched into his neck. And when I mentioned the whole hybrid aspect, you actually pull apart the joints on the arms, and then at the boot cut, he looks kind of lopsided to me. I wonder why I can't get him to like stand straight. Oh, wait. Is it because... I mean, I'm assuming that the extensions are just exactly the same. Just for the heck of it, real quick though, I do have a vintage Extendar. You can see they went for more of a gold brass color rather than the more tarnished version of the previous one, although this could also just be color fade from back in the day. I picked him up at one of the Chicago toy shows previously. I will just note right now his legs are not attached. I need to put some bands in there. But the original figure had the extended legs that extended. Yeah, I know, that sounded awful. Torso, head, wrists. So everything on the previous version did extend on their own, all with internal workings. But since the origin version also has the articulation the previous one did not, with like knee bends and elbow bends, there's nowhere to hide or to actually have the bands go back into place. So I'm honestly surprised though that the head and the neck are actually done the way they are, because Classics you did have to like replace all the parts, I think. The original version also had the peace sign in the back of his neck too, by the way. So that was just a quick comparison of the two. Honestly, I'm just going to throw out there that I got really lucky when it came to finding all the parts for this guy in one of those broken down bins, because I got him for less than $5. Anyway, let's get back to our extender. So the head is still on a ball joint. When it's extended, you can move it all around. I'm going to extend the camera a little bit too. So, although one of the silly things though about this figure is I'd just like to point out that when his head extends up, it basically exposes it to attack because he's no longer shielded by the visor thing. Anyway, the extension part does not actually have any kind of jointing to spin around, just the whole sliding in and out. On the arms, we have the standard spin. When it is up close, it does actually hit the elbow does hit the side of the visor. So there is that issue. We have a joint in the elbow, which is very stiff, but it's got a ratchet in there and you can hear that. And of course he's got a wrist spin basically because of the in-action figure feature. And it still spins when you put the new joint in there, or the extension joint. The wrist is on a peg also and spins with the in and out hinge. And these are new hands because they are thicker and more heavy duty than the ones that actually came with the previous figures. And he does have a gripping hand, unlike the previous one, which had a slapping hand on both. So he can hold a weapon. We have the extension joint, which does still spin, which is very surprising to me. And I could attempt to force it to see if it would actually pop off, but I'm not going to. Because in all truth, it really feels like it is designed not to come apart. So there's that. As far as his legs go, he can kick up yay far. He can kick back yay far. Being that he does have a new crotch piece, I think there is just a little bit of additional extension in that movement. His sidekick is not as nice though as some of the others. And I think that's got more to do with the design of the legs, because he does have a much more bolder step, probably for the whole because of his gimmick, just to give him a firmer base for stability. Except for, again, he does not seem to want to stand straight up, and I don't know what is... I don't know if I've got the extension in there funny or something or what, but I'm going to take those out and see if he stands normally. But he still has a knee joint as well. There's a pretty nice ratchet in there. I would say he's got a little less of a angle than the previous versions did. And because now the extension part has two pegs in there, it spins at the top and at the boot cut. And then there is a hinge in the foot, and if you look in there, the hinge is actually done in both the gold plastic and the silver plastic of the rest of the figure. So that's kind of a nice detail that honestly isn't that noticeable with the figure display. And there is a little bit of give from the peg for spinning it or angling it a bit, but not much because of the sides of the boots. Yeah, see, he still does not seem to be standing straight. I don't know if it's being caught on the camera as well as you can see it, in person. But he just does not... Like, this is about the straightest I can get him to stand. And then the extensions on him... I mean, it's the same piece. So theoretically, right, it should extend the same. Also, if you really want to be funny, if you ordered multiples of him, you can put the extensions together. And actually, now that I think about it, and some of the stuff that we saw, in the promo material, they were using the other extension pieces on him. So you can, in fact, use all the various extensions to give him even more of a if you wanted. Not saying you have to, not saying you should, but you can do it. Which honestly makes it a little too bad that they didn't put out like a pack that you could order with him with a bunch of extension pieces. But it does give you a lot of different play options with the figure, so that's cool. I like play options with my figures. His shield, again, has... You know, even though they show the shield in that hand all the time, it actually looks like it was designed for the other hand, because it's got, you know, the holder and then the clip, which that's not working too well. But remember, his shield opens up. And then in the artwork, it shows the shield opened up like this. But this is the only hand that can hold it. Whereupon, in the artwork, it shows it opened up like this, but on this hand. So, if you do want to put it in that hand, you would have the shield up like this. Unless, of course, you just, you know, bent him that way. Although I suppose you could also turn the fist backwards and have him holding it like that, too, to have it in there the way that they show it. I gotta say, overall, I'm kind of impressed with how they did this figure. Like I said, I want to say that Classics, each extension part was a separate piece and you had to just plug them in there in order to do the extension. But this kind of combo of having the torso and neck be able to extend, and then, you know, just having the peg-in parts for the arms and legs so you can keep the articulation, that's perfectly fine. I think that's a good way to do that. Would it be nice if you could do the full extension? Of course it would. But if you were to try to embed the extensions in the elbow or the wrist to keep the joint, it would be super short, like not even half that size, that length. So it would have been pretty pointless. So overall, man, I hope if you wanted Extendar, I hope you were able to get him. I think he sold out after, it might have been a couple hours actually, I think, or it might have been shorter. I remember, I'm pretty sure it sold out at any rate. But yeah, he's a pretty cool figure for your display. He's beefy, he's thick, he's a heavy-duty knight, and I mean, he does look like a heavy-duty knight. You know, he's one of the few characters in Motu that really does truly look like they're wearing real armor. Yeah, forget it. So, I think he's a worthwhile addition to the collection. I just wish they had actually given us the lance, and maybe one of the third-party sellers will create a lance for him. I mean, we know that they can hold on to the Classics weapons, so it wouldn't be that much to think that somebody could just mold a lance based on the Classics one. Now, what would be cool is if they made the lance so it also extended. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments if this is a figure that you got or wanted to get, and maybe you missed out on him. I hope you didn't. But, yeah, I think he's a pretty nice update. And if you liked what you saw here, please give me a subscription. I made it easy. At the end of the video, there will be a little thingy that you can just press in the corner. Now that I learned how to add the end stuff. So, peace and love.